Part 54. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 531. Chapter 531. I'll take care of things, don't worry. At night, Muniankai lay on the bed and looked at the so-called plans that Hanzija had just sent her. Hanzija also marked Plan A, Plan B, Plan C and so on. It seemed to be quite professional, but after Muniankai took a closer look, she only felt that it was very childish. Why does she think Hanzija is teasing her? Are these so-called plans thought up by his clever mind sure to work? Muniankai went over with a dark face to check with Hanzija, but Hanzija looked determined to win, saying that he would be able to do whatever he said. Based on his experience accumulated over the years and his understanding of girls, only Muniankai could put these plans into place. Xia Ying will definitely settle the feud with her. Although Muniankai was dubious, she had no choice but to treat a dead horse as a live doctor at the moment. The relationship between her and Xia Ying had been frozen for more than a year, and during this period, she had actually been uncomfortable. But it wasn't because of Xia Ying's identity as a thorn bird that she wanted to get back together with Xia Ying. It was because of the hurtful and angry words she said to Xia Ying before. Because Bai Jun Chennai was rejected during that period of time, she liked Jun Chennai so much at that time, and when she saw Xia Ying during that period, she thought of Jun Chennai's rejection of her. So she said those irrevocable words in a fit of anger. Then later, after Xia Ying admitted that she was the thorn bird, Muniankai felt that she had missed a good friend. The college entrance examination is coming soon. With Xia Ying's grades, she will definitely be able to go to a university in God's capital, but she is still a little hung up. If she hadn't settled her feud with Xia Ying before the college entrance examination, it would be difficult if she went to a different school in the future. Muniankai thought so and fell asleep in a daze. The next day at school, Xia Ying walked into the classroom as usual. It was an ordinary day, but Xia Ying didn't notice the warm look from Muniankai behind her. Xia Ying is so beautiful. At this time, a girl beside Muniankai sighed, which disturbed Muniankai's thoughts. Muniankai looked at Xia Ying's beautiful back, wasn't she? Not only was she good looking, but she was also so talented. If she were Jun Chennai, she would also like a girl like Xia Ying. Not someone like her who has no talent, a bad temper, and a strong jealousy. Muniankai thought so, and suddenly felt a little sad. Sister Niankai, what's wrong with you today? Sun Han on the side couldn't help but ask. Muniankai has been staring at Xia Ying's back in a daze since today, sighing from time to time. Sun Han really doesn't understand. Muniankai did not answer, but raised her finger at Sun Han, who then approached Muniankai understandingly. After listening to Muniankai's whisper, Sun Han opened his eyes wide, stared at Muniankai in disbelief, and asked, Sister Niankai, why did you do this suddenly? She thought that Muniankai no longer had the same attitude towards Xia Ying as before. After all, Xia Ying was also a thorn bird and her goddess. Moreover, Muniankai stopped targeting Xia Ying hundreds of years ago. So this time, Sun Han couldn't believe what Muniankai had just whispered to her. Don't ask so many questions. Just do as you are told. Also, you must pay attention to the details and let her hear it. Muniankai ordered. Sun Han nodded in confusion. Ah, I understand, Sister Niankai, don't worry while I do the work. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 532. Chapter 532. Xia Ying is pregnant. After school, Xia Ying and Ye Xiaoxun headed towards the cafeteria. The cafeteria had recently released several new dishes, which were particularly popular, so they sold out quickly. As soon as get out of class was over, Xia Ying couldn't wait to take Ye Xiaoxun's arm and bring her over to grab the food together. Xia Ying and Ye Xiaoxun bought their meals and found a seat to sit down. The two of them chatted and laughed while eating, creating a very peaceful atmosphere. Just at this moment, Xia Ying suddenly heard a table of girls not far away talking about her. "Hey, do you know, I heard that Xia Ying seems to be pregnant." "What? Xia Ying is pregnant? What's going on?" Before, a classmate accompanied her mother to the hospital to see the gynecology department. She said that she saw Xia Ying coming out of the gynecology department with her very handsome boyfriend. She seemed to be pregnant and preparing to have an abortion. Oh my God, Xia Ying would do something like this too. Several people were talking happily. Xia Ying's face turned blue. Ye Xiaoxun asked Xia Ying in a low voice, "Xia Ying, are they lying, right?" Judging from Ye Xiaoxun's understanding of Xia Ying, there is absolutely no way she would do such a thing. Moreover, Yu Lingfeng doesn't seem to be the kind of person who can't calm down. Therefore, Ye Xiaoxun concluded that those people were absolutely lying and wanted to ruin Xia Ying's reputation. Xia Ying was just about to get up when she angrily went over to argue with them. However, just as Xia Ying stood up, a girl rushed over and poured a glass of orange juice directly on the girl from the top of her head. The girl screamed in fright, and the eyes of all the classmates in the cafeteria were attracted by this scene. They all turned to look over, discussing something with their companions. "I tell you, keep your mouth clean. If you dare to talk nonsense again, I will tear your mouth open." Mu Niankai's voice was so loud that everyone in the cafeteria could hear it. Xia Ying was stunned. She didn't expect Mu Niankai to stand up for her. Ye Xiaoxun opened his eyes wide and stared at Mu Niankai. The girl was trembling and her eyes were red. She didn't dare to go against Mu Niankai. Hu in Guanyang knew Mu Niankai's temperament. Therefore, even if she was wronged, the girl had no choice but to endure it. "Sister Nian Chi, I also heard what others said. This matter was not reported by me. No matter who you listen to, it is wrong to spread false rumors. Next time I hear such remarks, I will teach whoever a lesson." Mu Niankai's last words were addressed to everyone. After saying that, Mu Niankai turned around and left without looking back. Sun Han, who was still eating next to him, was even more puzzled by Monk Zhang Er. What on earth is Mu Niankai doing? Didn't she ask her to spread this rumor? Why is she still coming here to bully others? Mu Niankai is singing about red face and black face at the same time. Sun Han couldn't understand more and more what Mu Niankai wanted to do. Xia Ying saw that things were gradually calming down. The girls who were notorious for gossiping just left the cafeteria in dejection because of Mu Niankai's warning. Xia Ying sat down and continued eating. Ye Xiaoxun whispered to Xia Ying, "Xia Ying, Mu Niankai is actually quite righteous sometimes." Yes, Xia Ying responded lightly. She didn't say anything else. She just lowered her head and was thinking about something. "Xia Ying, can I ask, how did the relationship between you and Mu Niankai get so tense before?" Ye Xiaoxun asked in a low voice. Xia Ying paused. "Stop talking about this, let's eat." Thanks to the little cuties Xia Mo and Singing Cat for the reward. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 533. Chapter 533. The swimsuit is missing. Now that she is in her third year of high school, Xia Ying obviously feels that Mu Niankai has become much more mature and steady. In the past, Mu Niankai, if someone or something didn't go his way, he would scold him, or he would just find a group of people to beat him up, or he would isolate him and make everyone ignore him. In the past, those girls in Guanyang who were more impatient and arrogant did not end up well because they offended Mu Niankai. Xia Ying sees it all. In the past, whenever the name Mu Niankai was mentioned in Guanyang, it would make people frightened. In Guanyang, Muniankai is the eldest sister, and no one is bold enough to challenge her authority. Now, Muniankai rarely does those arrogant and domineering things. Xiaoying doesn't know whether it's because she has grown up or for other reasons. However, Xiaoying did not think deeply about this matter. Now she and Muniankai seemed to be on their own, and she didn't want to ask about Muniankai's affairs. There are very few physical education classes in the senior year of high school. The original one session per week was compressed by the teachers into one session every 2 weeks. In many cases, the physical education teacher did not show up at all and just allowed everyone to move around freely. Many students will choose to continue to study in the classroom. Over time, physical education classes became self-study classes. As long as one person stays in the classroom to study, the others will follow involuntarily. Because in this dangerous period, no one wants to fall behind others, so naturally they are racing against time to learn. Perhaps everyone pays too much attention to study. Some time ago, several students in the grade were sent to the hospital due to overwork. Slowly, the school began to pay attention to physical education classes again. After all, it was a good opportunity for students to exercise their physical fitness. Learning is important, but if it wears down your body, it's not worth the gain. Therefore, the physical education class, which has been away from everyone for a long time, is back again. And this time the physical education class teaches everyone how to swim. Swimming is a crucial survival skill. As the weather heats up, many people will play by the river. At this time, it is very important to be able to swim. However, Xiaoying leaned over and rummaged in her school bag for a long time, but she didn't see where her swimsuit had gone. Very strange. Xiaoying said to herself, she clearly remembered that she brought a swimsuit, why was it suddenly gone now? Ye Xiaoxun saw that Xiaoying had not made any movement and had been rummaging for something, looking very anxious, so he came up to her and asked, Xiaoying, what's wrong? Suddenly I can't find my swimsuit. Xiaoying was so anxious that she couldn't go to class if she couldn't find her swimsuit. If she couldn't find her swimsuit, her physical education class would be missed. But the time management is very strict, and you are not allowed to go out during school hours, unless you have a request for leave. It is too late to run out and buy one now. Just when Xiaoying was anxious to get angry, suddenly a white arm appeared in front of Xiaoying's eyes. The man was holding a swimsuit in his hand. Xiaoying looked up and saw Muniankai. Muniankai had a straight face, and there was no unnecessary expression on her face. After glancing at Xiaoying lightly, Muniankai said, "You are lucky, it happened to be my period, and this swimsuit is brand new. I haven't worn it, you can use it." Xiaoying was still surprised, but Muniankai had already thrown the swimsuit into Xiaoying's hands, and then turned around and left without waiting for Xiaoying to say anything. Xiaoying blinked and stared at Muniankai's back, not knowing what to say for a moment. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 534. Chapter 534. I've been showing my kindness to you. Ye Xiaoxun said silently, Xiaoying, let's go. Xiaoying nodded, and then went to the swimming pool with Ye Xiaoxun. Along the way, Xiaoying fell into deep thought. Is it her illusion or something? She always feels that Muniankai has been helping her intentionally or unintentionally recently. She forgot to bring something, and Muniankai happened to have it. If someone said something bad about her, Muniankai would jump out to save her. Xiaoying vaguely felt that Muniankai seemed to have been paying attention to her. But, didn't we say before that they would not interfere with each other? Moreover, Xiaoying still remembers her tone and demeanor when she spoke. Sakura, what are you thinking about? You're absent-minded. Ye Xiaoxun asked. Xiaoying was interrupted by Ye Xiaoxun's words, and then turned to look at Ye Xiaoxun. Xiaoxun, have you noticed that Muni Ankai seems to be very good to me recently? Yeziaksun's eyes suddenly lit up when he heard Xia Ying's words, and then he said quickly, actually, I wanted to say it a long time ago, Xia Ying, but I was afraid that you would be unhappy, so I never said it. Because every time Yeziaksun mentioned Muni Ankai, Xia Ying's expression became abnormal and her face became ugly. It turns out I'm not the only one who thinks so, Xia Ying whispered. Xia Ying, although I don't know what happened to you before, it's obvious that Muni Ankai has been showing kindness to you. And, Xia Ying, we all know that Muni Ankai's idol is you, so, she probably wants to get back together with you. Xia Ying showed a wry smile at the corner of her mouth and said, but Muni Ankai is so arrogant, how could she do such a proactive gesture? Xia Ying knows very well what kind of person Muni Ankai is. Xia Ying rarely shows sincerity to one person, probably because she has been reborn and experienced the tragic experience of her previous life. People's hearts are unpredictable, and sometimes when you give your sincerity, you get suffocating facts. That kind of feeling is really unbearable. Just like before, she happily thought that she and Muni Ankai could become good friends, but Muni Ankai said such heartbreaking words to her. Xia Ying now has Yeziaksun as a close friend, and she is already very content and satisfied. After arriving at the swimming pool, Muni Ankai did not come because she had asked for leave. Xia Ying and Muni Ankai have similar figures, so her clothes fit her perfectly and there is nothing wrong with them. After the swimming class, everyone changed clothes and returned to the classroom. Xia Ying bought a box of drinks and was going to throw it into the trash can after finishing it. However, she just threw the box in and accidentally glanced at the trash can. There was her swimsuit lying in the trash can. Xia Ying was stunned and stared at the swimsuit in the trash can for a long time, making sure that it was her own swimsuit. But what Xia Ying didn't understand was who was so bored that she threw her swimsuit into the trash can. At this time, a girl came to throw away the trash and found Xia Ying staring at the swimsuit in a daze, so she said, Xia Ying, you also think this swimsuit is very beautiful. It would be a pity to throw it away, right? Xia Ying turned to look at the girl who spoke, but did not reply to her. The girl continued, I also think that Muni Ankai is really arrogant. This swimsuit looks very expensive at first glance, and it must have been worn only a few times, but she is like this, lost it. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 535. Chapter 535. Do you think this is fun? Xia Ying was stunned after hearing this, then reached out and grabbed the arm of the girl who was about to leave after saying this. The girl was startled, looked back at Xia Ying in confusion, and asked, what's wrong? You just said that Muni Ankai threw the swimsuit in, did you see it? The pressure in Xia Ying's eyes really frightened the girl. She just came over to sigh with Xia Ying. She didn't expect Xia Ying to have such a big reaction. Yes, what's wrong? The girl was confused by Xia Ying's question. Do you have any questions? Xia Ying didn't say anything, she just darkened her face and left. Xia Ying came to the classroom, holding the swimsuit that Muni Ankai had just lent her in her hand, and hurriedly walked towards Muni Ankai. Muni Ankai was doing her homework at the moment and was completely unaware of Xia Ying's approach. It wasn't until Xia Ying slapped the swimsuit on Muni Ankai's table that Muni Ankai raised her head and met Xia Ying's angry eyes. Muni Ankai was very puzzled by Xia Ying's expression. What happened? Why did Xia Ying look like she was about to eat someone? Muni Ankai glanced at the swimsuit on the desk, and then said lightly, no need to return it, I don't like this one. Is this why you threw my swimsuit? Xia Ying said through gritted teeth. Muni Ankai was startled after hearing this. How could Xia Ying know? Xia Ying saw Muni Ankai looking panicked. It was obvious that she felt guilty. Xia Ying took a deep breath and said, Muni Ankai, do you think this is fun? Is it fun to throw away my swimsuit and lend me yours at the same time, pretending to be helpful? Xia Ying's words were like cold swords, stabbing into Mu Niankai's heart one by one. Mu Niankai's eyes widened and she didn't know how to respond to Xia Ying's questions. Xia Ying had no intention of waiting for Mu Niankai's explanation, because Mu Niankai was always unreasonable and unreasonable. It's just that Luo Xian just bought Xia Ying's swimsuit for her a few days ago. She liked it very much, but Mu Niankai just threw it away without considering her feelings at all. Xia Ying was still very touched when Mu Niankai started to lend her a swimsuit, but now, Xia Ying feels that Mu Niankai is really hopeless. When he went home in the evening, Chu Shenxiu saw at a glance that his cousin Xia Ying looked not right, so he quickly approached Xia Ying and asked, "Cousin Xia Ying, what's wrong? You look unhappy, who bullied you?" Yu Lingfeng heard Chu Shenxiu's words and looked at Xia Ying. Something was indeed wrong with her. "It's nothing." Xia Ying put down her school bag and replied calmly. Chu Shenxiu will naturally not let Xia Ying off so easily. No matter it is a big or small matter, anything that makes his cousin Xia Ying unhappy is a big deal. Xia Ying had no intention of talking to Chu Shenxiu. She took her school bag and prepared to enter the study. Yu Lingfeng followed Xia Ying. Chu Shenxiu wanted to follow, but was turned away by Yu Lingfeng. "I'll ask, don't worry about it." Yu Lingfeng waved his hand and said to Chu Shenxiu. Okay, then Chu Shenxiu didn't follow anymore, but said to Yu Lingfeng, "Then you must tell me if someone bullies my cousin Xia Ying." Before Chu Shenxiu finished speaking, Yu Lingfeng had already turned Chu Shenxiu away. Chu Shenxiu. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 536. Chapter 536 Unknown Number. Xia Ying opened her book and was about to start studying. Yu Lingfeng had been sitting opposite Xia Ying calmly, glancing at her from time to time. He was waiting for Xia Ying to take the initiative to tell him what happened, because he knew that she would definitely tell him when she couldn't hold it in any longer. As expected, Xia Ying put down her pen not long after, looked at Yu Lingfeng with an irritated face, and said, "Yu Lingfeng, I have something to tell you." Yu Lingfeng put down the book in his hand and said, "I would like to hear the details." Xia Ying then told Yu Lingfeng everything that happened during this period. Moreover, the most annoying thing was that Xia Ying heard a few girls chatting on the way home from school, and then she learned that the person who spread rumors about her some time ago was also Mu Niankai. What is Mu Niankai doing? She is acting like a despicable villain behind her back, while at the same time pretending to be upright to Xia Ying. Xia Ying was almost deceived by her. She really couldn't figure out the reason why Mu Niankai set up the situation with such good intentions. Yu Lingfeng frowned after hearing this. "Have you been in this state lately? There are only two things that I know are like this, but I guess the others are pretty much the same." Xia Ying said angrily. Mu Niankai is treating her like a monkey? And the most important thing is that Xia Ying's favorite swimsuit today was thrown into the trash can without a word. It was stained with various stains and could no longer be worn. Xia Ying gets angry just thinking about it. "Have you asked Mu Niankai what happened?" Yu Lingfeng asked again. "I asked, but she hesitated for a long time but couldn't answer." "Well, actually I thought of a reason, but I don't know." As soon as Yu Lingfeng finished speaking, Xia Ying's cell phone rang. Xia Ying picked it up and saw that it was an unfamiliar number, indicating that it was local. Xia Ying answered, "Who are you?" "I am Hanzija." Xia Ying frowned after hearing this. Why was Hanzija calling her? I have something to tell you, but I don't know if it's convenient for you to come out." Xia Ying subconsciously raised her eyes and looked at Yu Lingfeng. Although Yu Lingfeng didn't seem to have any trouble on the surface, looking at Xia Ying's expression, Yu Lingfeng roughly guessed something. Isn't there something we can't talk about over the phone? It can't be explained clearly in a few words. Hanzige's attitude is very firm. Okay, find a place to wait for me, Xia Ying said and hung up the phone. Who? Yu Lingfeng raised his eyes and asked. Hanzige. Hearing this name, Yu Lingfeng had the same reaction as Xia Ying. What did he call you for? I don't know if I have something to say. Now. Xia Ying nodded, stood up and prepared to leave. Yu Lingfeng followed Xia Ying. I'll be with you. Good. Yu Lingfeng had a very bad impression of Hanzige. Even if it is now discovered that he is not a complete evil person like in his previous life, he is Xia Ying's favorite man in her previous life. For this reason, Yu Lingfeng's impression of him is not good. Moreover, if Xia Ying is asked to go out at night, it is impossible for Yu Lingfeng not to follow her. Arrived at the agreed place, Hanzige saw Yu Lingfeng beside Xia Ying. Yu Lingfeng's expression was indifferent, and his whole body seemed to exude a cold aura. His sculpted facial features were almost perfect, and his thin lips were pressed into a cold arc. His eyes were fixed on Hanzige, darkly his deep cold eyes shone like a cheetah's. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 537. Chapter 537. She wants to reconcile with you. Hanzige's eyes met Yu Lingfeng's, and he was suddenly shocked by Yu Lingfeng's cold eyes. How should I put it, Yu Lingfeng is really a strange person. It seems that except for Xia Ying, he treats everyone with such a distant and indifferent look. When children see her, they will probably be frightened into tears by his fierce gaze. However, what Hanzige didn't understand was that he didn't offend Yu Lingfeng, right? Every time Yu Lingfeng saw him, he felt like he would worry about his life in the next second. Yu Lingfeng and Xia Ying sat down opposite Hanzige. Hanzige thought that only Xia Ying was coming, so he ordered Xia Ying a cup of sweating coffee, which she liked to drink very much. However, he originally did this out of gentlemanly demeanor, but Yu Lingfeng kept staring at the cup of snowtop coffee in front of Xia Ying for a long time. Then, he stared at him coldly for a while. It's incredible, if looks can really kill. Hanzige felt that he had been chopped into pieces by Yu Lingfeng 500 times. Can a cup of snow-capped coffee provoke him? Thanks. Xia Ying said something, and then surrendered in front of the delicious food. She took a sip of snow-top coffee first, and then said to Hanzige, whatever you want to say, just say it quickly. Hanzige's face darkened, he became serious, and said, I know what happened between you and Muni Ankai. Don't be angry yet. Listen to me. In fact, Muni Ankai cannot be blamed for those things. Although Xia Ying wanted to refute in her heart, she still held back her temper and listened to Hanzige's next explanation. Because I taught her to do it. What did you teach? What are you thinking? Xia Ying finally couldn't bear it anymore. Why is Hanzige teaching Muni Ankai to do such a thing if he has nothing to do? Because Muni Ankai wants to reconcile with you. Hanzige wandered around for a long time and finally returned to the topic. After hearing this, Xia Ying's face suddenly changed, her brows furrowed, and she asked in confusion, what did you say? Muni Ankai wants to reconcile with me. You must know how much Muni Ankai hated Jun Chennai because of her relationship. She also said that it was always Xia Ying who was being sentimental. She had never regarded her as a good friend. You can say such hurtful words, and now Hanzige says that Muni Ankai wants to reconcile with her? A person with Muni Ankai's temperament will never change the things he has done. She has too much face to do such a thing. Wait, Xia Ying suddenly thought of something. When she questioned Muni Ankai during the day, Muni Ankai held back her face and hesitated for a long time without saying anything. Could it be that this girl really wanted to find her? reconcile. But because there was no other way and because he was stubborn, he took the wrong approach and adopted Hanzage's stupid method. Hanzage saw that Xia Ying was thinking deeply and didn't speak for a long time, with a troubled look on her face, so she interrupted, "How about it, you have thought it through now?" Xia Ying's meditation was interrupted by Hanzage, and she immediately looked at him seriously. "Why does she suddenly want to reconcile with me? She has always thought about it. She was jealous before and June Chennai I rejected her confession, so she said that to you." Hanzage recalled everything Muniankai told him that day and said, "Also, if she really didn't mean to be friends with you before, Muniankai is really not the kind of person who is willing to help others. Helping you deal with Xiamenjian, firstly, she feels guilty, and secondly, she is too slow. I slowly discovered that you are actually a nice person, so I am willing to help you. Thanks to the little cuties and Ruoyuexi and Qing Sheng and he are you for the reward. The VIP group has been created. Apprentice and above fans can join the group. To join the group, add Xiaoyaka, 299-133-0854. Provide a screenshot of the fan value to join the group. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 538. Chapter 538. Don't meet him anymore. Xia Ying held sweating coffee in her hand, pursed her lips, lowered her eyes and said nothing. I didn't expect that girl Muniankai to be stupid enough to discover these things. Tisk tisk tisk, obviously the plan I arranged for her was so thorough, but that girl is not very smart. Hanzage sighed with emotion on the side. Xia Ying rolled her eyes at him. You are the only one who can come up with such a stupid plan. But you have to admit that you are still impressed by her, right? Hanzage looked complacent and continued, if the plan is not discovered and continues to be implemented, you will definitely be killed by Munian. She was impressed, and then he took the initiative to talk to her. In the end, we hit it off, and the friendship between you girls is just that. Hanzage looked carefree and said to Xia Ying. You are too confident, not all girls are like this. Xia Ying said with profound meaning. But I understand you. Hanzage was originally just an unintentional remark, but someone heard it and immediately killed him with a stern look. Hanzage swallowed hard, wondering how this Yu Lingfeng could be as scary as a ferocious beast. As a result, he is now walking on thin ice and dare not say anything. Seriously, you can give Muniankai a chance. Although she has a stupid temper, bad temper, and strong jealousy, she is not bad in nature, and she really likes you. She still has your gift hanging around her neck. Here's her signature. Hanzage was a little bit embarrassed at the end. The first time he knew that the ugly thing around Muniankai's neck contained the thornbird signature given by Xia Ying, he laughed at her for a long time. Let's see how she behaves, Xia Ying said lightly. She was not unaware that a person's eyes can't deceive others, let alone someone like Muniankai who can't hide her inner emotions. However, Xia Ying felt that if Muniankai thought about these evil ways, it would be better to tell her clearly directly. If she was more sincere, Xia Ying might forgive her. Okay, I'll go back and talk to that stupid girl. Hanzage stretched his body and said intentionally or unintentionally, you don't even know how sad she cried when she called me to tell me about this matter. Said that if I didn't help her explain clearly, she would strangle me to death. In fact, Muniankai's original words were to expose her and cancel the cooperation. Xia Ying listened and smiled slightly. It's like what she said. Okay, my mission is completed, you can go. Hanzage curled his lips and said. See you. After Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng left, Hanzage finally breathed a sigh of relief. Yu Lingfeng was staring at him just now and his whole body was terrified. Although that guy didn't listen to a word the whole time, it was obvious that he was repelling him. It made him restless. He didn't dare to look around or make any expressions, for fear that he might think that Xia Ying had evil intentions towards him. Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng walked outside. Yu Lingfeng, who had been silent all the time, suddenly said to Xia Ying, "Don't meet him again in the future." Xia Ying paused, then turned sideways and looked at Yu Lingfeng. Yu Lingfeng's face was serious and it didn't look like he was joking. Of course, Yu Lingfeng was not the kind of person who liked to joke. "What's up with him?" Yu Lingfeng didn't answer, a fleeting loneliness flashed in his eyes, and he just repeated what he just said, "Don't meet him anymore." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 539. Chapter 539. Yu Lingfeng, you are really jealous. Xia Ying saw that Yu Lingfeng had no intention of answering, so she didn't ask further, and just responded in a low voice, "Okay." Originally, she usually had nothing to say to Hanzija. Although Xia Ying is already with him, Yu Lingfeng feels very insecure. He was always afraid that one day, Xia Ying would fall in love with Jun Chenai, even Hanzija, and all possible people in the future. After all, he is not from this planet. He doesn't know which day he will go back, nor does he know how much time has passed on the earth when he comes back next time. And Xia Ying, will she still be there at that time? However, he is such a selfish person. He hopes that Xia Ying belongs to him alone. He also hopes that he can be with her forever. In his last life, he just wanted her to be happy. No matter who she liked, he would not interfere. Now he realizes more and more that only he can give her happiness, but even he himself cannot guarantee how long this period will be. Yu Lingfeng thought so and looked down at the watch on his wrist. The pointer had already pointed to 10. Recent horoscopes indicate that his time on Earth is now passing faster and faster. When the pointer reaches 12, he must return to his home planet. He doesn't know how long it will take when he comes back again. "Yu Lingfeng, are you in a bad mood?" Xia Ying suddenly raised her head and asked him, interrupting his thinking. Yu Lingfeng lowered her eyes and looked at Xia Ying's eyes that were as bright as the stars. Xia Ying bit her lower lip and stared at him nervously. When she was talking to Hanzija just now, Yu Lingfeng remained silent. He also said that he should not meet Hanzija again, but now he looked downcast again. Could it be that Yu Lingfeng was still jealous? Xia Ying thought so and suddenly laughed softly. The sweet laughter reached Yu Lingfeng's ears. Yu Lingfeng frowned slightly and looked at Xia Ying. "What are you laughing at? You are such an idiot for laughing." Xia Ying said this while showing a sweet smile. "How to say? Yu Lingfeng, why do I think you are so jealous?" Yu Lingfeng frowned and looked at Xia Ying's bright smile, and for a moment he didn't know how to reply to her. However, Xia Ying reached out and clasped Yu Lingfeng's big hand with her own small hand, then raised her face, smiled like a spring breeze, stared at Yu Lingfeng's beautiful eyebrows, and said, "Because of what happened before, so he knows I like snow top coffee, but that's okay, all my fans know I like snow top coffee." Yu Lingfeng was amused by Xia Ying's remarks. Although that was not what he was thinking, he still did not deny it and nodded. Xia Ying leaned her head on Yu Lingfeng's arm, and then said angrily, "Yu Lingfeng, you are really jealous." Yu Lingfeng looked at Xia Ying tenderly, without comment, just looking at the scenery outside the car window in a trance. After returning home, Chu Shenxiu saw Yu Lingfeng and Xia Ying returning late, sulking with a straight face. Xia Ying was amused by Sheng Xiu's expression and said, "Big turtle dove, what are you doing?" "Humph, cousin Xia Ying, you've been neglecting me more and more recently," Chu Shenxiu complained. He didn't even know when he and Yu Lingfeng went out. This Yu Lingfeng was getting better and better at seducing and abducting his cousin Xia Ying. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 540. Chapter 540 Chu Sensio's fiancé. Xia Ying didn't answer, but just stepped forward and poked Chu Sensio's cheeks that were bulging with anger, and said with a smile, "If you have time, you might as well go out and walk more, get a girlfriend or something, there is no need to stare all the time. Hold on to me." Xia Ying is surprised. Chu Sensio is a normal and good young man. He has not been in love for 21 years. I don't know what is going on in his mind. Or is it true, as his fans say, that Chu Sensio's girlfriend is his little tweeter? Chu Sensio originally wanted to reply with something, until Luo Xian came over and said jokingly, "Isn't 13 an engaged person?" As soon as Luo Xian finished speaking, Xia Ying was stunned. Is Chu Sensio engaged? Why didn't she know? Chu Sensio's face darkened after hearing this, then he turned to look at Luo Xian and said feebly, "Auntie, why do you like to joke like them?" Luo Xian covered her mouth and smiled, "Is it a joke? I thought it was true." "What kind of engagement, Mom, why didn't I know about it?" Xia Ying's curiosity has been aroused, so she quickly asked Luo's Indio. Luo Xian smiled and said, "When we were in Country S, we were invited to a dinner by the president of Country S. You were still young at that time, so you don't remember it. It was normal. 13 was only 13 at that time. The president had she was a little girl who was only 3 or 4 years old at the time. But what was particularly interesting was that the little guy fell in love with Shi-san as soon as he saw her, and held on to Shi-san's clothes while they were eating. He also wanted to sit on 13's lap, which made us very happy. When the president saw that the little princess liked 13 so much, he said that he would marry the princess to 13 when she grows up." After Xia Ying heard this little joke, she laughed so hard that Chu Sensio's face turned dark and ugly. Xia Ying approached Chu Sensio and said with a smile, "Hey, big turtle dove, it turns out that you have been waiting so hard for so many years. Are you waiting for your wife to grow up? The little princess is only 11 or 12 years old now, she is still a child." Chu Sensio expressed that he really wanted to hold up a sign saying he had been wronged. If Luo Xian had not mentioned it, he would have simply forgotten about it. Okay. Chu Sensio saw that explanation was useless, so he stood up and left this place of right and wrong in despair. Luo Xian turned around and was about to go to the study. She was learning to cook a dish recently, so she wanted to look in the study to see if there were any cookbooks. Luo Xian had just walked to the study room when her cell phone rang. Luo Xian looked down and saw that it was an unfamiliar number. Luo Xian answered the phone suspiciously, and a strong and steady voice typical of a middle-aged man came from the other end of the phone. "Xiao Xian, it's me, I'm Yan Chen." When Luo Xian heard the name, his pupils dilated instantly, and the pores on his whole body trembled. Yan Chen was a junior who played basketball with Sichuan High in college and was 1 year younger than Luo Xian. He was gentle, elegant, and personable, and was recognized as a great talent in the school at that time. He and Sichuan High were good friends at first, but because they both liked Luo Xian, a rift arose. In the end, Luo Xian and Sichuan High got together, and he went to study in the UK. Luo Xian never had him again. News. It is said that he has settled in the UK after graduation and has never returned, and there was no trace of him at the class reunion. Thanks to the little cutie's Yangzing degree, Xian, Xingxiao Jianyi, Drunken Snow Allure Tears, Qingsheng and He Are You, Summer. Star. Evening for the rewards. The VIP group has been created. Fans with a fan value of apprentice or above can join the group. To join the group, please add Xiaoaka, 299-133-0854. Provide a screenshot of the fan value and you can join the group. End of this chapter.